We got one hot minute of gameplay footage from the beta gameplay trailer, and I want to break it down here because I think there's a lot more here than a lot of people realize. This was a very good trailer for just 55 seconds, and I want to talk about that today. Now, without further ado, remember, if you do enjoy today's video, to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like as always. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, be sure to hit that big red sexy subscribe button right underneath the video. Also got to thank my channel members, so you guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, and be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. So like I said, one hot minute of gameplay, and it begins with an introduction from the jet scene in Battlefield 2042's reveal trailer. It cuts straight into gameplay, and the transition is fan-freaking-tastic. Now we get an overall shot of a group of helicopters and some condors approaching several objectives in this single territory. Now we know in the new all-out warfare conquest mode, there are going to be numerous objectives in a single area. So for example, you'll have C point, but C will consist of 3 or 4 smaller objectives. And in order to control that territory, you have to hold each one of those smaller objectives. Now in the background, it looks like we can see the rocket, which of course is kind of going to be the focal point of Orbital, but we also have the kind of golf ball looking thing. And we also have the tower, which we have seen several times. Now, I do have a feeling in the back of my head that these two areas, the golf ball and the tower, may have to do with whether or not that rocket takes off or explodes. One of the developers said that it is within the player's control to be able to determine if that happens, and I'm intrigued if these two areas, because of how much they stick out on the map, will have something to do with that. Now, in the next scene, we actually get a glimpse at some of the jet gameplay. In the first part of it, we get the first-person point of view from within the cockpit, and the rain droplet animations on the outside of the plane's cockpit look fantastic. I mean, they look so good, so much detail. And of course, the actual kind of control panel inside the jet, I don't know what the hell to call it, but it looks really good, really detailed. It's a little dark, so it is hard to read, but it does look like there's some Russian text. Now, this is confirmed as we go to third person, and we can see it is a Russian-aligned Su-57 jet chasing down an F-35. We also see this Russian jet switch from the 20mm primary cannons on the jet over to the lock-on missiles, and that's when it locks on and takes out the F-35. Now, there's a couple of cool details here. Number one, of course, we see the new kill feed animation. I do like that the skulls are coming back. I think it looks really cool. We don't ever get to see a multi-kill, so I don't know if they stack up like they did in BF5, but I do like seeing the skulls coming back. I do wish that the point stack wasn't off to the right-hand corner, though. I think that's a bit odd. I prefer it in the middle, but hopefully they have teased that we might be able to customize the kill feed, so hopefully we have that ability as well, so we can kind of make it how we want it. So maybe you want like a BF4 kill feed, but you want to put the skulls on top of it, something like that. I think would look really good, and we'll just have to see more there. Another thing I want to point out, it's a small detail, but it looks really cool, and it is a bit of a realistic detail, is the condensation on the wings of the jet when it makes a hard turn. This is something that really happens to jets when they make hard turns. You'll see this kind of smoke come off the wings. What that is vaporized air, because as they turn, the air pressure changes on the top of the wing foil, and this causes this kind of smoky effect. It looks really cool, and I think it adds to the intensity of a dogfight if you ever get into one. It just looks really nice. In the next brief sequence, we get a soldier on the ground in sunnier conditions and what is probably a completely different match. I'll explain that a little bit more later in the video, but we see them on the ground holding what appears to be a futuristic version of the Scart H. I believe the text, it's a little blurry as I'm editing it. I believe it says SFAR-M, which makes sense. It'd be like a futuristic version of the Scart H, and then potentially having an underbarrel launcher or maybe an underbarrel shotgun, something like that. There's definitely something under the barrel, and not only can we tell by the name it might be a Scart H, but if you look at the image on the HUD, it looks like a Scart H with an underbarrel attachment. In the background, we can also see a friendly soldier holding what appears to be a Bison SMG, which is kind of a larger magazine, slow rate of fire SMG. It'll be interesting to see how the futuristic version of that is implemented into the game. We can also see an attack helicopter firing a missile. You can visually see the missile hit the tank and cause it to explode in the background. Speaking of tanks, in the next set of frames, we are in the tank, this time much closer to the rocket on orbital over to our left. And the big thing here is the new hit marker. First, we can see the usage of the MPAT shell by the tank, which is a multi-purpose round. This means it's used for anti-tank and anti-personnel rounds, so it'll probably be the all-around shell for you tanker mains out there. And it also means that we are likely going to be able to customize in a similar way to how we were in Battlefield 4, what kind of shells and whatnot that our tank is going to to have, as well as I'm sure countermeasures and whatnot, just looking at the HUD down here. It'd be really nice to see that sort of thing come back. Now, going back to the other important part about this frame is, of course, the new hit marker. Now, instead of the small kind of beady X's that we would see in previous gameplay trailers, we get a big red cross that flashes whenever we get a kill, and it looks really, really nice. In the next shot, we get what appears to be the iconic run out at the start of a conquest round. This appears to be a start of a completely different round than the rainy one that we got at the beginning of the trailer. Now, we can see the foliage actually being influenced by the vehicles passing overhead, and that's just such a really nice detail, to be honest, to see the vehicles have that impact. It's really nice to see that interactability with the environment, and it just makes the world feel that much more immersive. Now, in the background, again, we can see the big golf ball, and we can also see the big tower in the background of Orbital. Again, I think these are key, and that kind of takes us into the next shot where we see a strafe run of one of the Little Bird helicopters using what I think are Zuni rockets or something, some kind of air-to-ground rockets. Either way, it takes out some infantry on the rooftop. It looks like they've set up some kind of deployable shields and maybe Boris's turret, so it's likely Irish and Boris are working together up here. Now, Irish isn't supposed to be in the beta, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was intended to be, but got cut due to the passing of Michael K. Williams, his actor. But again, we see it up here, and we see the chopper doing the good Lord's work of taking out roof campers. But are they roof campers? Because these two things on either end of this little fort that's been set up appear to be somewhat important. Why would the chopper be strafing this area specifically, and why would they be setting up this little defensible fort on seemingly a random part of the tower? Well, in my opinion, this isn't confirmed. I think these two areas, the tower and the golf ball, have something to do with whether or not that rocket takes off on Orbital. They said developers have stated that it is up to players whether or not that happens, and I wonder if these dishes that look sort of like solar panels, as of course at this point in time in the world you're going to want to use things like solar panels as different non-renewable sources of energy are going to be hard to come by. If these are solar panels and we see one of them blow up and it looks like we're strafing over to the other one, maybe these have to do with whether or not that rocket can take off. I don't know. It's an interesting little tidbit, and I'm intrigued to see what we may have to do to make that sort of thing happen. I think it'd be really cool, and it'll add value to various objectives. The next short sequence shows some hip fire of Boris and his PBX-45 SMG, which also features an interesting hand symbol. Now, thanks to Twitter, we know that this is a kill assist symbol. Some people thought it might have had to do with like something stopped you from killing him or something like that. No, it's just a kill assist. After that, we get the vehicle view of a Jeep before hopping into the point of view of a reload of an M5A3 just after kill, and we get a beautiful shot of the rocket taking off in the background, showing that this sunny round is of course a completely different round than the rainy one, as we're going to see here in a little bit. Now, this next bit is important for us gunplay nerds out there. We get the PBX-45 at 28 meters getting a kill in what seems to be about 6 or so shots, which seems about right for an SMG. Now, it's hard to tell exactly if that's the amount of bullets to kill, as there were multiple people shooting at this guy, it seems. So either way, it seems about right for an SMG. Now, one key part here is the screen center seems to be tied to the weapon aiming, like they're tied together. It's not like Battlefield 5 where your weapon felt bouncy because the actual weapon itself was not tied to screen center. So they're just decoupled in Battlefield 5, and it feels weird. Thanks TTK changes for ruining that once great gunplay system. That's a nice thing to see, is that basic rule of FPS games is fixed. The other thing that we have seen that is a bug that hasn't been squashed is the hit markers are still sitting below the actual weapon reticle. It's not a huge deal to me. Some people have been freaking out about it. It's a bug. It looks a little weird, but I can live with it. Right after this, though, we get the turn to a massive storm. Now, this is where the visuals of the trailer really take off and are shown off very well. I do want to point out that the 1080p compressed footage that I downloaded looks way better than the raw 4K file for the specialist trailer that was given out on Twitter and whatnot that you could download for that trailer. This looks way better visually than that did, and you can definitely see the difference in the old build that was and the new build that this is. The animation here looks stunning, and then we get into the storm, and my god, it looks so good. I mean, it is gorgeous, the different things going on in this storm and the various layers and the lighting and everything like that. It looks incredible. And then we finally get into the last moment of truth. should say the moment of boom. It's Levolution, baby. Now, this explosion looks amazing. First of all, I love that you can see the various parts of the rocket start to explode and then it creeps up in kind of like a sequence. It looks really nice. Seems realistic for how a rocket would explode. Now, the Levolution is really cool and the pieces go flying everywhere. Looks awesome. Hopefully, the pieces of the rocket and where they land are a bit more randomized than, say, what they were. I guess the best example is Lansing Dam's dam falling apart. That Levolution event. It's really cool, but the same pieces fly down the same scripted path every single time, so it kind of takes away from some of that awe. Hopefully, here we get a bit more of a randomized event with the newer technology. If not, it's not a huge deal, but it would be cool to have it be more randomized. So if you're in the area of effect, I mean, you always have the chance that you might be killed by it. If not, well, then you're safe. So I think that'd be awesome. But overall, I'm really happy with what we saw from this gameplay trailer. I think there's so much more here than a lot of people realized, and I was thrilled to break this down. I've been watching this trailer more than any of the other trailers. It looks the best. I think it gives off the most information, and it has a lot of the things I was concerned about before we got this trailer. I don't want to say it alleviated everything, but it definitely has me feeling a lot better about the game and some of the concerns that I did have going into it. So that being said, let me know your thoughts on this trailer. Are you excited for 2042 again? Are you ready for the beta? Because for me, I've been streaming all the older Battlefields and oh man, I just need something fresh. I love some of those older games, but I need something fresh. It has been rough the past week or so, but thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.